Good afternoon and welcome. It's been a while. Apologies. However, Centrespot UK TV, you find us today at, I will say, the world famous Anfield, because it is world famous.
It is indeed. Rivalries aside.
There has got to be something in the air, Mike, because I know there's no rivalry in this. We've done 2 shots in Manchester, relatively decent days.
Mm-hmm.
Second trip to Liverpool. It's raining again. And Manchester's a rainy city. Maybe we're bringing down the 62 with us, I don't know. Or the East Lancs, whichever way we came. However, Mike will introduce us to why we are here this week.
So we are, obviously, as Simon says, at Anfield. We are going to do a little bit about the club and the history, but mainly the topic for discussion today is disasters in football and the joy that opposition fans take in them, and why is that?
Misplaced joy.
Yeah. So obviously Liverpool Football Club, 1892 established.
Yes, it's on the badge, man.
It is. There it is. See, it's there. 19 top flight league titles, 6 European Cups, the most successful League Cup winning team. Obviously, a host of other things.
It's the dispute, isn't it? The dispute of how you tally it up. Who's the most decorated, Manchester United or Liverpool FC? Obviously, as a Manchester United fan, look, I think what is undisputed is they are the 2 most famous clubs from English football.
Yeah.
Arguably, and I'm sure Liverpool fans will back me on this, maybe the 2 most famous clubs in the world. I'm sure Real and Barca would like to disagree with that, but
certainly, I think you mentioned those 4 as the top, as the most popular and the most successful. Anyway, quickly, I'm just going to get Robert to hand me these. We're just going to do a quick giveaway with our new hashtag feature on our shirts. We have 2 Liverpool shirts here. I don't know if you can see the JFT 97. So that's in a large. And we also have in an extra large YNWA, which obviously stands for You'll Never Walk Alone. So we will give those away to anybody who tells us why, or subscribes, comments.
Just give us a reason. You must be on the subscription of YouTube to do it.
Yeah.
But if you're on it, more than happy, get those sent over to you. Lovely little items they are.
Thanks,
as well.
Love. So yeah, we'll give those away. The hashtag feature is now on the website where you can put whatever you want on it. Funnily enough, this is the first, I think it's only the second Centrespot video we've done where neither of us are wearing a Centrespot item.
I don't want to get it wet, man.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
I'll tell you what, you can tell. How quick was that summer? It doesn't seem that long ago since we were doing the England one. And here we are, back into wet coat.
Yeah. So, yes, we are obviously Liverpool Football Club. But like we said, the main reason is to discuss all the disasters that have happened in the world.
I think it's kind of the lack of respect and the I keep mentioning this kind of hangover that we seem to have had brought back from the 70s and 80s, which obviously I remember football being like that. Which almost killed the game, and now it's almost coming back in fashion, in vogue. I don't know whether it's to do with keyboard warriors, I don't know whether it's to do with the invisibility of Facebook and all the crap that you can throw out there and be faceless and anonymous or in a big crowd and chant it. Listen, the football fans that I know from any football club, it's not relevant. It shouldn't be relevant, and why it's creeping its way back into, as I say, there's this kind of like renaissance of idiocy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it politely like that. That's crept back into football, and I would like to see it. Look, I'm not saying everyone get popcorn and start going woo soccer or anything like that, but just let's just understand the emotion and the emotive feelings that any disaster that's happened to your football club, such as obviously there's one in mine, there's one here, and very moving to see those tribute down there. Very moving, very nice touch. It's, as Robert turned around and said, it's nice to see the eternal flame that's there, the eternal flame that's at the Munich tunnel at Manchester United. But it's not just these big clubs that have had it. Obviously, Bradford is a big one. Bolton Wanderers covered on the Odyssey. I don't know. The football should be giving you enough to shout, rant, taunt.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the joy that people seem to take out of it, which has always baffled me. You know, I've heard clubs, not mentioning any names of clubs, sing the Munich air disaster songs when
every club does it,
playing at Old Trafford or playing at their home ground.
Sorry, you just interrupted there. I just said virtually every club. No, every club has idiocy within it. That my own included. Obviously, Manchester United sing the one-worded chant, and then you get the why are we getting back this sort of like taunts of Munich and stuff like that. I remember massively it was there in the 70s, and it was, if it wasn't about Munich, it was about Bill Shankly from the other side, and that really did dissipate down. So why has it come back now?
I don't know. I mean, if we look into all the kind of, not just football disasters, but you take into account the two Leeds fans, they were 37 and 40, who were stabbed over in Turkey. You know, you look at, like you mentioned, the Bradford fire, there's the Ibrox disaster in the 60s with Rangers and Celtic, the Heysel disaster, the Burnden Park disaster. There's just so many, and it's just a strange kind of mentality that people are happy to chant about death and loss of family and loved ones, and almost in a way to say you're a crap team because of this. It's almost like, you know, a jibe at them for what they've gone through. It's an odd one. But then you look at last year, the Sheffield Wednesday fan who held up a picture of the young Bradley from Sunderland.
I mean, that's
to taunt the Sunderland fans. You know, what mentality? What goes through your head at that point to celebrate the loss of lives? You know,
well, he got banged up, didn't he? Quite rightly so. Yeah. Quite rightly so.
And then similar thing when Fabrice Mwamba nearly died on the pitch.
Yeah,
people taunting him on social media. You know, and that was kind of a change. That was a switch, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was a slight switch in the law where people could be tried and charged criminally for social media.
Well, obviously you can now, because we've got a problem where we haven't got enough prison spaces for people who went into the so-called riots. Was it a riot? The fella who ran out with a tray of Greggs, I'm sure, is you know, it's cost of living really sort of.
You're going to have to eat all these in the next 24 hours, otherwise they'll have all gone off. I'm getting my work a living for nothing.
That cost of living must have been a great move there. How many sausages? It must have had about a sausage roll for every day for the next 40 days.
Maybe he couldn't afford Greggs and he thought, I'm sick of eating at the Pound Bakery. I'm going to go and treat myself. So a few steak bakes and a sausage roll.
Listen, there's no rivalry between Greggs or Pound Bakery on this social media. But no, what I was going to say is what's interesting, and sort of like taking it back to the sincerity that we're talking here, it is that sort of like political binary sort of opposition that you now have to have. There's nothing in the sort of like middle where people can sort of like talk about it expansively or understand sort of feeling. It's almost like, I'm going to quote someone who I follow on Instagram, so like, I like cats, but what's your feeling about dogs? It's like you've got to have that instant response. So there's that response of like, oh, you support United, I'll say that. You support Liverpool, I'll say that. You support Leeds, I'll mention that. You know, it's just totally bizarre that it's come in. I don't know whether that's got anything to do with, I'm being sort of like socially political, I guess. But it does seem that the whole country is certainly post, I think, my own little opinion, I think it started off crap like the X Factor and things like that, where people and everybody had an invisible vote and everything. Now it's kind of like moved over to social media. You've got all that. I think a load of keyboard warriors had a lovely time in the lockdown because they could formulate their version of Mein Kampf and push it out to the world without anyone knowing. You could be stood next to this little idiot. And you don't know. I mean, true. I'd like to leave it up to counter-terrorism police, but I think people have a responsibility to actually look either side of you and call out the idiot. I mean, however, that's a different thing.
I suppose that goes back to this Sheffield Wednesday fan who got who was holding up the picture of Bradley. Social media has got a lot to explain, a lot to answer for, but also it worked in a way where people said, find this guy, someone must know who he is. And within that, they found out who he was. I mean, obviously the police would have done that for him, but there was a huge support network on things like X and whatever saying, who is he, where someone must know him. So it does work well in that respect. But I do agree with you. There's that instant gratification that we've talked about in a few videos, isn't it? Like you've got to have almost that fear of missing out. There's got to be something.
Yeah.
If you mention you support Bolton Wanderers, it's almost like when a team loses. So obviously Bolton Wanderers got heavily beaten yesterday, and all I was dreading was the WhatsApp backlash. I was like, what? Why does it constantly need to be? Well, I wasn't playing. I didn't. I mean, if I was, we might have scored, or at least have a shot. Probably not. But it's the immediate backlash. As soon as something happens to a club, it's like,
well, yeah, you're dead kind of right. I'm just going to go back to the social media bit there because we seem like we're giving it a slap. Mike, we're on it. But
absolutely, I love social media.
No. There's a place for it, and to be honest, and I'd like to think what we're doing here is never putting our opinion, all right, observation, but not an opinion that we want you to buy into and sort of like take us on board.
No.
It's to get that discussion going. But just going back to what you're saying there about Bolton losing, interestingly, I was having a little flick through Facebook last night, and I didn't know that Forest had got a win here, and it was on not a proper United fan group thing, but it was on there on Facebook celebrating that Forest beat Slot here. And apparently last week he was a master tactician. I was thinking, why am I reading about Liverpool losing on a Manchester United side where we just won 3-0? Well, how's that got on there?
Yeah, that's a really good point, yeah.
It's almost like to the poison there has to be an antidote to everything. And I don't know which is the poison, what's the antidote?
Yeah, do you not think it then goes back to that instant gratification thing where people will create a meme or whatever just to get as many thumbs up as they can and what have you. Yeah.
Bit of fishing.
Yeah. And it's the same when celebrities pass away or there's a joke within 2 minutes.
I think that
and memes, and you're like, why? I mean, obviously, listen, we're not all.
That dark humour's always been around.
Yeah.
It's the veracity and the hideous nature and the intent to be insightful and harmful. It's not so. Listen, life can be a real drag sometimes, and you do have to have a sort of like a dark sort of like outlook on it sometimes to get through. But when it's personal and when it's ferocious and it's vindictive and I don't get it, and I don't get what somebody gets out of that with, I'm not being all sort of like jangling crystals or anything, but I don't get what you're getting here out of it.
Well, it's funny you say that because then you said, it's like you said at the start, surely a football match is enough for you to vent your anger
You've got 90,
you've got your passion out.
You've got 100 minutes now really in the game.
Yeah.
So
but some people, that's not enough. That's like, after the game, I'm going to go and find someone who's got an opposing shirt on, or someone coming out of the way, and then I'm going to stick one on them. Okay, well, let you know, as is your want, if that's what makes you happy. But you then flip it to something like rugby, which obviously is a very brutal sport. But opposing fans can stand in the same pub as each other and go, we're here for a good nobble, we're having a good football. We're not in football, rugby, we're here for a match, we're looking forward to it. They stand on the terraces with beer.
The commonality that they've got is they've both turned out to watch the same thing. It's not as
football. You can't do that. You're not allowed to, even in corporate areas. You're not allowed to stand with a beer at the window.
But again, you could do that. I believe I'm not that old. I believe you could do that before the 70s and 80s, and it was a very strange sort of politically quite similar to now, quite a politically fueled time, the late 70s, early 80s. You're too young. I was young anyhow, but you did actually have this real sort of defined sort of like youth subculture, politics, class system that really did define which side of the fence you were on. And it took an awful long time through the early 80s and a lot of the 80s, through music from this city, music from Manchester, music from Coventry, music from the Midlands, from London, to break all that down. And I feel a little bit disappointed that it's somehow managed to come back to this sort of like divide that's happened in culture. It's funny, Robert's not going to like this, but we went out on his birthday in Manchester, and there's some kid walking down the road in sort of like a bit of a vampire cape and everything like that. Obviously a goth, and I'm looking thinking, well, goth, that's quite cool, that. And his pal turned around and said, God, did you know they've come out dressed like that? And I thought, when I was a kid, that would have been your grandparents. Not someone 30 years younger than me. and it's not their fault, but that's where it's kind of like double back and gone full circle, and because of that, you've allowed this crap in again to be. I don't use it in the sort of like the way, but it is almost sectarian.
Yeah,
I can't stomach anything to do with you because you're that, and I expect you not to stomach anything to do with me because I'm that. But there's an awful lot of common ground. Certainly in football, it's the actual game that we're asked about, isn't it? Sure.
Of course it is, and that's what it should be. And you pointed out when we were speaking last week, I think you said it's not a game, it's a match. You're here for a match.
Yeah.
That's what you're here for. As you said, 100 minutes. You're either here with your family or your mates or on your own, whatever you're coming for. But it's a match at the end of the day, and that's
football
it.
Match.
So you lose today, you've got next week. I mean, I'm sure Bolton fans won't agree with me at the moment, but you've always got next week. I don't want next week to come this Monday time, but
that's what you live for.
And why? I suppose the main thing I wanted to bring up on this video, which we already have, is the kind of joy that people take out of failure and disaster and pain and suffering, to almost use it as a stick to beat opposition fans with. And you look back to the two Leeds lads who lost their lives in Turkey. That's not necessarily a football disaster in quote unquote terms. That's
a disaster. It's a disaster for football.
Yeah,
though.
of course. Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's not a disaster in terms of a crush or whatever.
Yeah,
but it was still used against Leeds and people chanting, about Galatasaray or Turkey or whatever. These are two lads who went to a European game of football semi-final. I just don't understand it.
It still comes, when it's something like that, it still comes down to the fact that you should have, in the modern era, the right to go to a football match and come home safe. And if you have a few after it and you can't remember it, watch Match of the Day.
Yeah.
Or if, like you'll watch Match of the Day in the morning because you've gone to barristers till 4. But
not for a while. Not for a while. Never again. Never again.
No, that is the basic crux of it, isn't it? Surely to God, there's enough within the dynamic of the whole leagues, all the leagues, even grassroots, even sort of like I used to love and enjoy going on the Saturday mornings, but even now I've obviously stopped coaching, but I'm hearing open age now where lads of their own team are going watching their own team playing, and on the touchline they're shouting, snap him, take him down, and that's lads playing for the team shouting to another team to what? You really want to go in? And a lad who's playing on a Sunday, who's probably got a trade or something, who relies on his arms and legs working, you really want to see someone go in there and snap him and lose his money and be, what are you trying to do, kill the game? Is that what a player wants to happen to them? Do you want to play thinking, any moment now, someone's going to come in and snap me? There's no room for that crap either.
No, I agree completely. I agree completely. And it's that aggression within football that we talk about, and why you can't do what rugby fans do and stand in the same pub as the opposition fans. It just isn't heard of. And possibly why, I think, like you said on the way here, that people are starting to wear football shirts now because they know that that's potentially not the crowd that people are looking to fight with. It's like people with like a Stone Island or whatever,
You'll always have that detachment who will almost have their own sport with it themselves, and can you really shout at that because they organise it away from the ground, and that's kind of what makes them tick on a weekend. But there's like that weird code of like, you don't touch your fan shirt, you don't get them involved, it's not the same as the 80s where someone would walk by, you went to Main Road, didn't you, with Jim, and just for no reason got hammered on the side. But if you decide to go off on a bit of wasteland, and you're into Green Street and you think that's true, all power to you. Can't say it myself. Love a not a fighter, man.
I suppose the end of the day is we're not going to stand here and say we can change football. And Simon rightly said, we're not here to voice our opinions. We're just talking about the game. And I think it does need a change. It does need a bit of a revamp and a thought process, like you say, about when you go into a game, what are you actually going for? Are you going to go and enjoy it? Are you going to go and have a beer after it? Or are you going with the pure intent to scream at opposition fans and dig them out over a disaster or deaths in the
you're never
fan
going to
base.
stop within the game a challenge going in or something like that. Which, you know, it's a human game. You've got 22 players out there. Over the time of a match, you are going to see a tackle go in, whether it's intentional or not, and you'll get the crowd going up. And unfortunately, we can't protect referees on here because sometimes you do ask for it. But but all they'll get is that sort of like chanting. But as soon as you put that black shirt on, or green shirt, or whatever shirt the FA wish to put you in, you know that you're that central focus of a little bit of that abuse. So to turn around and sort of like say, yeah, obviously don't throw stuff at a referee or whatever, but if his opinion's wrong, that is part of football. That's fine. To then be that, you know, obviously sing your songs and stuff like that, just does it have to be that disrespectful?
No. The bottom line is no. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Anyhow, while we're here, because let's not forget, when we went to Everton, we did actually talk about the history of Everton and how Everton started
we're
on
here
this
first.
pitch.
Yeah, we're here first.
That little known fact. And do you know what? It's a good while since I've been to Anfield, and this is looking really quite nice.
It's amazing what they've done with it, really. You think about Old Trafford and the problems that Manchester United have got with that ground, and the fact it would cost you a lot of money to rebuild it. But these guys have just, over the last maybe 20, 30 years, just taken
They've looked after it
step by step to build on it, make it bigger. It is a great stadium.
Well, this is good.
Well, still one of the old. What I love about when I've been to a game at Anfield, is how close the players are to the crowd. It's still one of those stadiums where there's no running track around it, and the players are there. So it's very intense.
I also like the by the memorial there. They've got the big sign up saying "Players Entrance," and that's sort of like to the fans. They're coming in here, coming out. There's not that sort of like thing getting through the back door.
Yeah.
You know, like they're going doing a gig and getting through the stage door, and let's not mind them coming in or out. It's sort of a bit more welcoming. But yeah, you're quite right. Old Trafford's issues is. Mike, that's the reason why Centreport started, my disaffection for the Glazers. So, yeah, obviously you understanding it and we got together on it, but Old Trafford, 20 odd years of lack of investment, this shows annual little bits, maintenance. You do it on your own now, so why would you not? So now it's going to cost a fortune at a time when apparently we don't need to be spending a fortune because PSR is breathing down our necks.
Well, if you just even like, what I love about Anfield is even just the badge itself on the side.
It's proud, isn't it?
Phenomenal.
Well, it's a proud statement,
It's such a huge piece of kit, isn't it? And it's beautiful. It's really well done. So just give me those one more time, Robert.
So see if I can be totally neutral like
Yeah,
that.
very true.
At Anfield and give it the respect that it deserves in the football club. Why can't anybody else?
Correct. What a way to end. So as we said at the start...
Well, we're not ended yet because we've got a little bit of something that's going on Monday that we need to mention as well.
Oh yes, good point. So quickly before we finish on Liverpool, we've got these two T-shirts, XL YNWA and large, if I can get it, JFT 97. So these are available. You can actually get them without the hashtag if you wanted to, but we're going to give these away. So like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Comment your size, which one you want, why you think you deserve it. I mean, it's not a competition, but it is a competition.
Or even, Mike, just send us a question, as we've said before many times on here. Yeah, there's football fan sites where it's that sort of like intense that people might look at it and think, I'd like to comment on there, but I've got a fear of being shouted down. Centrespot's not about that. You can make whatever comment. You might think that's crazy. I've only just got into football. I don't really know what it's about. Whatever age you are, whatever age, gender, whatever.
Yeah,
it's a site where look, we're trying to put the normality back into this game, aren't we?
We are. We respond to every comment and we appreciate every subscriber and like. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day because you weren't on that job, but yeah,
got built if I was on it.
He's slumped drunk again down the side of the bloody Colosseum. Anyway,
however, they'd have some fantastic haircuts, but the Romans did. Maybe.
Well, they'd have some fantastic stories as well. Let's be honest. So yes, Sam alluded to wrap it up. We have a very big day in the Premier League history tomorrow, starting with the 115 charges.
Probably the biggest in its history.
Yeah, and it's been a massive build-up and probably the most controversial and contested issue in the Premier League's history, with Manchester City starting their defence of their the charges that the Premier League are bringing against them. Now, as we mentioned previously,
say is it defence or is it their proceedings going in the other way?
It's the crazy both, isn't it?
Yeah.
Defence and attack, as John Barnes once said.
They'll just have to get around the back.
They will. I've just totally yeah, so as we said, and I've said to you, we've discussed it loads, why does football think it's above this transparency thing? Why does it have to be so cloak and dagger? They've actually said out loud in an unknown location, we don't know who's doing the trial, we don't know who's if there's a jury, what the situation is it just 2 or 3 men round a table?
Yeah, well, it's a Crown Court, you know which Crown Court it is.
Exactly.
It's
crazy. It's like there's no transparency behind it. And that needs to be transparent for fairness on both sides. For City fans and City as a club, and for the Premier League as well.
And for football
and for
fans.
all that, yeah, and fans.
What I would just suggest now, I'll ask the impossible. Give a little statement on how you think it, just a little couple of sentences how you think it's going to go.
No.
You don't know.
And honestly, I think, like we said in the video we did about it, if we knew that, we'd be.
There's another video. There's got to be another video on that coming. But my only thought of it is this is really quite tricky, and I'm hearing a lot of things coming out of City, people who've worked with City, done the financial side of City, and there is an element of, and this is going to be quite contentious coming from a United fan, I guess. But my issues to it is corporately, there'd be nothing wrong with it, really. You won't get done under corporate law. European action a few years ago, not very well thought out, not very strong procedural, and nothing really majorly that they could lean back on to say, you've done it wrong in this way.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit amazed that, 4 or 5 years later, maybe a bit longer than that, Premier League seems to be making the same mistakes to me. As I said in the video, they don't have anything in concrete that they've done wrong. Now, I think this will be entirely different had either Everton or Nottingham Forest gone down. But I think they kind of think, well, we got away with that one because they've obviously changed their mind and not touched Leicester. They're obviously teetering on Manchester United. I don't know.
Well, the Leicester thing is, like we said, it's like, have they done that, in preparation?
Start softening it, yeah.
To go,
I think
we didn't do Leicester, so we now can be a bit softer on Manchester City.
We've learnt our lessons, but I just think it'll either make the Premier League maybe write some strict code, which they don't seem to have. I think it'll certainly hack off a lot of football fans. It will also open the floodgates to those clubs that have got money. It'll just oppress even more those that haven't. It just seems to me that the Premier League will do what they do. The FA will follow suit from that, and I think you'll find more draconian action happen to the lower end of the leagues, and you'll end up with a situation where you saw stuff like Chester go and things like that.
Yeah.
That's the dangerous part to me.
Well, let's hope that any code the Premier League come up with includes a ruling that they can't have Erling Haaland at the club anymore because it's just unfair. Send him to Spain. I think every club who plays City now, what's he got, 8 goals already this season? 9? He scored the first day, didn't he? That's just unbelievable. 9 goals in 4 games. The man's a machine. And 2 hat-tricks, yeah.
Whatever.
Well, if he fancies dropping down a couple of leagues, help Bolton out, we'll take him on loan. But yeah, I suppose that's pretty much us, isn't it?
What I will finish it up with, again, Football League, Manchester City, it's playing out exactly what we're talking about. You're either that side or you're either that side. Please, people, have a look at what's in the middle. Inform your choices. Just don't be so nasty.
Don't be so nasty.
Yeah, because
don't be nasty.
If I can be nice about City and all the rest of it and genuinely respectful, why can't anyone else?
Very good point. And we'll leave it there.
Stop raining now.
Just, and we're in this echoey sort of lift area.
And just before, it's a glass lift, isn't it? It's not a glass onion, because I'm in Liverpool. I've always got to get the reference in to those boys. Love them dearly. Right.
Okay. Thought we'd made it to the end, but we haven't.
No.
So we'll be back soon. Like and subscribe, share it as always, please. Get your comments in and your questions, and we'll pick 2 winners at random for those Liverpool t-shirts. I mean, the quality of them is mega. It really is fantastic. So
try it for yourself. Feel the cloth.
Try it for yourself, yeah. All right then.
See you later.